Melissa Patterson Hazley, candidate for City Council, 3rd District at large. I have more than 3, but one of the things that I want to do is I want to have a focus on housing. So in the 3rd District proper, there are hundreds and hundreds of vacant lots. And so I'd like to work with, of course, other people and put those rooftops back. For many years, the city of Kansas City had a demolition policy, as I like to call it, where they spent, millions of dollars taking houses down. And I'm not necessarily saying those houses shouldn't have been demolished. They might have been, have caught on fire or dilapidated or drug houses. But there wasn't really a methodical plan to put them back, and certainly there was no funding to be able to pay for that. In fact, when I talk to builders who do acquire lots to put homes back, they discover all types of debris in the ground, parts of the foundation, water heaters, clothes, trash, pictures. I think we in the state don't have strict laws in terms of what demolition looks like. And so these lots are not clean. They call them brownfields. And so for someone to acquire a lot, put a house back, you're looking at anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 just to clean it up. Then you have the added obstacle of the cost of materials. So we know that inflation happened after COVID. Everything got expensive. Labor got expensive. Gas got expensive. Lumber, windows. And so all of those costs are going to transfer on, onto what you need to put a house back. So all of that to say is that it's expensive. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of people. But that's one thing that I'm really committed to for a number of reasons. And that's why housing is kind of central to what I want to do, because it affects so many other things that are important in my platform. So I'm going to answer the question a little bit differently. So, as I mentioned, these vacant lots that we have in the 3rd District, they could be put back as single-family homes, which I think is important because the 3rd District was targeted for rentals. We were redlined, and there's a significant number of rentals in the 3rd District, and we do need to bring balance, to that equation. So we have some areas where single-family homes could be put back. They could be available for rental, or they could be available for home ownership. So that's a good balance. We also have areas in the 3rd District where it's zoned for multifamily. So we have these buildings called colonnades all over Kansas City, and they're my favorite kind of architecture. So these are 4-plexes, 6-plexes, sometimes 8-plexes. They used to have hardwood floor and exposed brick and galley kitchens. We have lots of these all over Kansas City. We've lost a lot of them because, again, not being kept up and maybe needed to come down, and there wasn't a commitment to renovation versus demolition. So there's an opportunity to put those kinds of multifamily, not colonnades, because that material would be super expensive nowadays, but we could put back multifamily stuff into the community, and that's going to impact. So school district, by bringing families back to the community, we can have more kids in our schools, which means more funding, more electives. You need more kids to have a choir or a football team. You need more kids that can matriculate into calculus and some of the higher level classes that take a while. So you need to increase your population. You also need to increase your tax base. The 3rd District is one of the only district that lost population at the last census. This impacts the entire city because our tax base is what pays for roads and sidewalks and trash pickup and all of that. So increasing the tax base through housing could be really positive. Also, nobody likes the nosy neighbor, Miss Johnson, but when she looks out for your house, if there's been break-ins or if there's something weird going on in the house, having neighbors around is a really positive crime reduction. These vacant lots attract bad behavior, so it can really also increase public safety by putting homes back on them. So I hope I have explained how my commitment to housing is impacting all these other things that are part of our platform. So everyday voters, I think, need to know that I'm a really hard worker. I'm really passionate about something. Passionate about things, when I put my mind to something, it's hard for me to let it go. You know, one New Year's Eve, we didn't have any black eyed peas, and I normally make black eyed peas from frozen on New Year's Day, but we failed to get any. So I got up in the morning and went to go get some, and I couldn't find frozen. So by the time I was on my fourth grocery store, I was in too deep, you know. So I had to keep going until I found those black eyed peas, and I never did find frozen ones. I had to go from, you know, the dry ones, which, you know, you have to soak and all of that, but it's the price you pay when you didn't prepare. So everyday voters should know that I'm a very committed person. When I put my mind to something, even if it's difficult, I'm willing to follow through, and I'm very happy. You know, at the end, you know, it was difficult, it was hard, but you know, we had a success. I also take preparation really seriously. So I'll read anything I can get my hands on. I'll talk to anybody, especially people that know more than me and disagree with me. So I plan to be a really prepared person in terms of being an elected official. And, you know, I'm collaborative. I am a people person. So the best part of the campaign trail has just been talking to people and exchanging ideas, hearing about what people's priorities and frustrations are, and where can I fit, you know, into the mix of that. So I think everyday voters need to know those three things. I'm committed, prepared, and collaborative, but also I'm accessible and responsive. So if you want to get in touch with me to give me any feedback or give me any ideas, or even tell me something that I'm doing that you don't like, I'm going to be available to hear that feedback and hopefully work together. Well, certainly I want to make an impact on those vacant lots that I told you about. Overall economic development. So economic development is kind of a technical word that can mean anything. But in pretty much every district in Kansas City, so you know I'm running at large, so I've campaigned all over, across the whole city. And there's quite a few things that we have in common, which I'm happy to know. And one of the things is, you know, in every part of the city, we do need affordable housing. I like to go to restaurants in Brookside. You know, I like Forbes, I like Red Door, I like Bellinopoli, I like all those places. And from my perspective, people that are serving my dinner or making my coffee, you know, should be able to afford to live in Brookside. And so I think that there's opportunity for more affordable housing at different price points across the city. So that's one of the things that I want to be focused on as a collaborative leader in terms of economic development. Also commercial development. In one area of the city, there's not really a sit-down restaurant. There's not many sit-down restaurants, maybe one or two. And, you know, commercial development brings obviously tax dollars that people are spending. We have a number of sales taxes that benefit the city, so we need places for people to shop, places for people to dine. And it also creates a sense of community when you have somewhere to go for brunch or after church. So commercial development will also be really important. Infrastructure as well. We have a large landmass city, but our population hasn't kept up with how big we've gotten. And so that impacts our ability to take care of our infrastructure. We have some sewers in the city that are from the 1800s. And I understand that's cool to look at, but it's also risky in terms of the safety of our groundwater and drinking water. So infrastructure development will be important. So, you know, overall, you know, economic development and housing are a couple of things that I want to really be focused on because they have so many community benefits in terms of jobs, public safety, population, increasing our population and tax base, and also just making this a place that's pretty and, you know, somewhere you want to be. Oh, I think one thing that's also different about me that makes me, well, not necessarily different, but I think something that kind of prepares me for this type of job is I have a PhD in educational psychology. And so I'm probably more academically aware of inclusion and challenges of diversity and issues of equity. And so applying that to my life and my job is kind of second nature because that's something I just have been trained to do over time and I've practiced doing over time. But one of the things that works is the realization that nobody's going to agree 100% of the time, certainly not in the government. There's too few resources and too many ideas and far too many needs. And so you really have to train yourself to be humble, collaborate, be accepting of the fact that you may not get 100% of everything you want all the time. There may be something else where you need to help a friend get something that they need, and I think that's governing, that's compromising, that's, you might start off on two ends of the spectrum. It could be me that needs to move closer to the other person, or I need to try to pull them my way. And we may meet closer or we may walk away, and try next time. And so, I have that kind of mindset. And so I think that, that will help to perhaps me not operate in a we versus, they versus them. And so, what are some things I can just compromise on? Like it just doesn't matter that much, and I can compromise. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that type of work. People that disagree with me always push me to be better, even if I end up right in the end. But if they disagree with me, poke holes in whatever I have in mind, and that'll just make my idea stronger. So I'm looking forward to that. Been thinking a lot about this. In those first, 90, 100 days, some things I'm going to do is hire an aide. I want like a Nespresso machine for coffee because it's hard to go in and out of the building. If I am so fortunate to be elected, I like to just make a cup of coffee right there. I'd like to start to build some of these collaborative teams that I'm going to need to reach my housing goals. And so I've started to kind of talk to people and say, I'm going to put together a couple of different collaboratives of people that have expertise in various areas. So I'd like to get those groups off the ground. Also, I've asked a couple of people that know more about me know more about City Hall than I do, to teach me different things. So I want to make sure that I really understand how to read ordinances. I want to make sure that I'm more versed than I am currently on the budget and the committee structure and just the rules of City Hall. And so thankfully I have several former city council people, former city attorneys that have volunteered to teach me. And so that's another thing that I'm going to be doing is learning, in the weeds. I feel like I know a lot about City Hall because I've served on a number of economic development boards. That's why I'm so kind of interested in that track of ideas. But there's still a lot that, I need to learn. And so in those first 90, 100 days, I'm going to be doing a lot of groundwork to hopefully have a successful 4 years.
Awesome.